officer and a new lieutenant. So first we're going to start with Officer Cody Lee. So if you would repeat after me. This is your oath of office. I, Cody Lee, do swear and affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
Do swear and affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
Laws of the State of Ohio and the ordinances of the City of North College Hill.
Laws of the State of Ohio and ordinance of the City of North College Hill.
And will honestly, faithfully, and impartially perform the duties of police officer for the City of North College Hill.
And will honestly, faithfully, and impartially perform the duties of police officer for the City of North College Hill.
I also swear that I will support and embody the values and mission of the City of North College Hill and the Police Department.
I also swear that I will support and embody the values of mission of the City of North College Hill and the Police Department.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So congratulations and welcome. I've always said that with our police department, we're a very small police department, but with that, that makes us unique in some ways because we truly are like a family. And so at here, I'd like to welcome you to the family. But I also like to do something else on this date when you get sworn in or promoted. I know that this is a marathon, not necessarily a sprint, to come up with a full-time job in law enforcement. And I also know that you wouldn't be here today if it was all by yourself. So I know that there's those in your family, friends, and others that have supported you along the way. So this is that golden opportunity for you to have somebody that you want to pin your badge on your chest for your first time to symbolize that honor and that courage and all the steps that have taken to get you here, as well as you get an opportunity when you're done with that to also thank everybody else in the audience or people here that have helped you to get to where you are along the way. So.
I would like my girlfriend, Jalen Elwood, to pin this on me, if she would. It's gonna be a little tough.
Oh, insulting a police officer.
She's not sorry.
So first off, I want to thank Chief and his whole department. Ever since I've got here, I've been on the road for just a little over 2 weeks here. Everyone welcomed me in as a part of their family, which is a really good feeling when you start somewhere new and you don't know anyone. So everybody's been good to me. So I just want to thank everybody here and the department. I want to thank Cheney for doing my background and coming out to my house and just getting everything done so that I could be here. Lieutenant Wiley, I see that you're here. He's helped me out a lot in just the short time that I've been here. Number two is I want to thank my family, my support system, my girlfriend, obviously. She's awesome and she's helped me through everything ever since we got together. My mom, before I met Jalen, it's always been my mom and I. She raised me and did it by herself, and I appreciate that a lot. She was a single mother and did it by herself. I want to thank my grandma. She's here as well.
Wow.
She's the reason why I'm here, because she had my mom.
That's how it works.
I just want to thank everybody. Lisa's my aunt. She came. I want to thank you for coming as well. And I love everybody. And just thank you.
Again, congratulations, Officer Cody. We appreciate you here and welcome to the family. Next, we have the swearing in of Mr. Craig, Lieutenant Craig Cheney. He's been almost, what, everything in the police department? Yes. You're just like a jack of all trades. I see you out, you're a detective. I see you out in uniform, filling in when the need be. So, here you are. So, this is your proclamation, Lieutenant's proclamation. If you will repeat after me. I, Craig Cheney, do solemnly swear and go ahead. And affirm that I will perform the duties of North College Hill Police Lieutenant to the best of my abilities, and I will faithfully lead our officers to do what's right even when it is hard.
To do the best of my abilities, and I will faithfully lead our officers to do what's right even when it is hard.
I also swear that I will support and embody the values and missions of the City of North College Hill and the Police Department.
I also swear that I will support and embody the values and missions of the North College Hill and the Police Department.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. As I've said in the past, you have now entered a special place as a position of a lieutenant and part of the command staff of this organization. As a small department, my thing to you is this, okay? I've been in a lot of different ranks in this department. The lieutenant rank and being middle management that way is one of the most difficult, but also it's the most rewarding. And so I have no doubt that if you put as much effort into that as you have for the rest of your career here, we're all better off for it. And I look forward to all the great things that you can do. With that being said, congratulations. And I offer you your lieutenant's badge as well as your lieutenant bars, and offer you the same thing to have those friends and family and the people that you want to enjoy in this moment too, to help you pin those things on you as a proud moment, as a symbol of your growing within the police department.
My wife and my badge, and Detective Hendricks and Colleen to do my autographs.
You're a braver man than I.
Yeah, that's fine. So obviously, thank you, Chief. Zach, look forward to working with you. I think we've off to a good start. First of all, obviously, I thank my wife. My career was kind of stuck in a bad place for a while, and she stuck by me and I've made a couple moves, and I've come here and really have found a family, and I love the city to the point of I even had my son come work for the fire department. This is one of the first places I wanted him to work because I trust the guys on the fire department to train him properly. So Joe, we and him have been friends since high school. His career's a little farther along than mine in time frame, but I couldn't ask for a better support. When I moved into detective, he was probably my right-hand guy besides Detective Brown. Anytime I needed something, I'd call him, reach out, and if it was in the middle of the night, he was there for me. So, and obviously my kids, they're the next biggest support, so I couldn't do it without you guys as well. And I appreciate you and love you guys. That's it.
Congratulations to Lieutenant Cheney, Officer Lee. Appreciate your service to the city, so thank you very much. Yeah, typically at this point,
Mr. President.
Have a good night.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Before you're dismissed, sir, before you're dismissed,
Hold on.
I'd like to say two things. Lieutenant Cheney, your emotion touches me deeply, and the fact that you've got a childhood friend and a wife and a family here supporting you. I'm so glad that you're with us. And then, Officer Cody, you touched my heart. The majority, not the majority, there's a large portion of our community here in North College Hill that are single moms raising children. So to have you on the police force, I think, is a huge benefit because you would recognize something that maybe somebody that's not lived that life wouldn't see. And I'm so glad that you're on our force. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it too. When I spoke, I forgot to mention somebody. So I had tunnel vision. It is nerve-wracking a little bit.
Absolutely.
But I've calmed down a lot. I want to thank Joy Elwood, who is my girlfriend's mom.
Oh.
I see her a lot, and she always asks how my day is, and
Oh,
she's backing as well. And I did not mean to leave her out because I love her as well.
that's beautiful.
Thank you.
And also hi to Officer Ward out there. I think I saw him out there in the hallway.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Take care. Thanks and congratulations.
All right, we will bring our meeting to order and ask everyone to stand as we start with our prayer for the NCH City Council. God our Father, we are all your servants. We trust in your mercy and love. We trust also in your guidance. Direct the meetings of this council of North College Hill to make good decisions for all the people who live in our city. Give all the members of this council wisdom and insight to know what is best for our city. Help us to be fair and just in all our decisions. Bless us all to do the very best we can. With your help and guidance, we pray this in your name. Amen. Call this meeting to order. Face the flag, please, for Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the February 7th edition of North College Hill City Council. Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Dukestein,
Present.
DeWalt,
Present.
Underwood,
Present.
Miller Novak,
Present.
Zorb,
Present.
Blythe,
Here.
Anderson.
Here.
Thank you, sir. You do have tonight's agenda in front of you.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood.
I just want to make sure that the agenda, well, Mr. Hedger told me that he did manage to add the legislation regarding the new fire truck to the agenda, but I just want to make sure, because I printed it before he sent it, so Just want to make sure that it's there.
It is there.
Okay.
Yes, the current agenda actually has 2 pages.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I move that we accept tonight's agenda, or approve tonight's agenda. That's the word, right? Approve?
Mr. President, I'll second.
Motion for Ms. Underwood, second by Ms. Zorb, to adopt tonight's agenda. Any discussion? Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Dukestein,
Yes.
DeWall,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Miller Novak,
Yep.
Zorb,
Yes.
Blythe,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Thank you. You should also have the minutes from the 118 meeting.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWalt?
I motion to approve the minutes of January the 18th.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. DeWald, second by Ms. Underwood to approve the January 18th minutes. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Dukestein,
Yes.
DeWall,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Miller Novak,
Yes.
Zorb,
Yes.
Blythe,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Thank you. What do we have by way of communication tonight, Mr. Hedger?
Thank you. 1 second here. We received communication from the Hamilton County Auditor. It was response to the Resolution 2-2022 that was passed on January 3rd, requesting the county auditor to certify the tax evaluation for City of North College Hill. They responded with that, the estimated property tax revenue that will be produced by the stated millage, assuming the tax evaluation of the City of North College Hill remains constant throughout the life of the levy, is calculated to be $540,344. Excuse me.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWalt?
do we have a copy of that? Has that, a copy been sent to council?
Yes, I did
Yes.
send a copy to council.
Okay, thank you. My computer's not up, so I was going to request one if I didn't have one. Thanks.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb?
I can't seem to find that copy. Would you, I just checked again.
I can send it again.
Thank you so much.
Is it this?
I've never seen it because my computer doesn't work.
Oh, well, Outlook
And I
is
just-
really,
Here,
I've
this
sent
is,
it.
It's 2
Yeah.
pages.
I have it.
Yeah,
Outlook is just very,
Ms. Blythe said she saw it already, and I can't find it. I don't know. I don't know if I accidentally deleted it or what, but I can't find it.
yeah.
It's the, this property tax revenue from the Hamilton County Commissioner, but I believe Mr. Hedger's the one that would have sent it, right? It would have come from you.
Yeah, I just sent it again to you. So
So while you have that up, would you just hit print? Thank you.
if it works.
I offered her mine.
Oh, you don't want it all? Okay. Cancel print.
All right, we'll move on to council committees, starting with City, Community Development, and Recreation.
Hello, thank you, Mr. President. Our next meeting is next Monday at 6:30. I'd like to encourage everybody to either wear pink for Valentine's Day or orange for the Bengals winning the Super Bowl. That will happen the day before. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Next up, Budget and Finance.
Yeah, we have not met since our last council meeting. Our next meeting will be after her next meeting. So 7:30 right here on the 14th.
Are you encouraging people to dress up too?
I'm not.
Okay.
I mean, because the same people are in my committee, they're in hers. Yeah, it'll be redundant.
All right, thank you. Next up, Rules and Public Policy.
Thank you, Mr. President. We discussed 2 pieces of legislation, the ODOT SAW contract as well as OPWC, which I can't remember the acronym, but We did discuss it, and we refer that to council for consideration. I believe it's on the agenda this evening. We also discussed some of our goals for 2022. Talked a lot about council rules and what we need to do to try to update our council rules. And our next meeting is the fourth Monday of this month.
Which will be the 28th. All right, next up, public safety.
Thank you, Mr. President. We also met on January 24th, but we met at 7:30. And the majority of the meeting was, I believe, Joe Plackey, am I saying that right? He came to the meeting and was, I must say, his normal humble self, tried to convince me that the truck that they had ordered or presented us with, which was under a certain amount because they're always trying to save the city money, was everything that they needed. And of course it wasn't, because they're always trying to save the city money. So I did go and have a follow-up meeting with them. So I did get information from them. I've had that document sent to council with specifics about the fire truck, what's included on the fire truck, and and if you have any questions, he's actually here to answer your questions, so thank you very much for that. That was most of what we talked about at our public safety meeting. Our next meeting will be February 28th at 7:30 p.m.
Thank you, Ms. Underwood. Are there any ad hoc reports?
Yes, Mr. President, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Ms. Ord.
So I attended the Intercommunity Cable Regulation Commission. That meeting was held on, I forget what the date it was last Thursday. During that meeting, we discussed the treasurer's report, the 2022 budget, and a production manager's report was presented by Jason Dudley. In that, the items that I want to highlight is during that production manager's report, they mentioned that they are trying to do, for lack of a better term, commercials for the cities. So I see Chief Shrand here. So an example would be if you were looking for more recruits, you could put on a commercial type event, and they would record that for us, and it would be broadcast on the ICRC channels. So you might get a broader audience participation and candidates from that. Just something to think about. I'm sorry?
You'd be very interested.
All right, let's talk after this. The other thing to consider, the other things that went through my head while we were sitting in this meeting were things like the Food Truck Friday. Perhaps we could put some type of, I don't know, promotional snippet together to promote our Food Truck Fridays, and perhaps even for the comprehensive plan strategic meetings, we could do that there too, and maybe hit a different audience from that. And those are all free for the city. They produce it. They do the whole ball of wax, and they're hungry for those kind of ideas. So if we want to dive into that, that would be awesome. Their next meeting will be April 28th. That's all I have.
Mr. President,
Thank you, Ms. Ord. Yes,
I just had a quick question for
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Orb. Is there a number of commercials that you can do per city, or is unlimited?
They are, I'm sorry, for the minutes, yes, it is unlimited. I saw Mr. Hedger. You couldn't hear my hedge rattle?
Okay, thank you. Any other ad hoc reports?
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I attended the CIC, North College Hill CIC meeting on January 27th. We kind of talked about a number of issues. There are a number of properties that the CIC has either purchased or they are waiting to purchase. So we kind of talked about different things, different ways they can encourage home ownership within the city of North College Hill. So there's that. One of those properties being, we also talked about the office space on Galbraith Road. We also talked about the potential for a major new development in North College Hill. I don't want to say too much about that because I don't want to put somebody else, let somebody else know about that. I guess they could figure it out if they wanted to, but we talked about the potential for a major new development that would be a total game changer for our city. So that's something that they're working on as well. They're working on structure and bylaws. They wanted, he tasked us with getting copies of bylaws from other similar organizations so that we could update our bylaws. We had our financial report, and then the meeting was adjourned.
Thank you, Ms. Underwood. Any other reports? Hearing none, we'll move on to the administrative reports. Good evening, Ms. Nichols. The floor is yours with the mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to give our kudos to our Public Works Department. I know it was tough, and they were not able to hit all the side streets probably like they wanted to, but they did an excellent job with our main streets. The ice is I don't know what I want to call it, but it's still there, and I know it was hard to navigate and to get over it, to even get under it. So I know they're exhausted. I understand that takes a toll on you. So I just want to, give a shout out. We appreciate them and their hard work and their diligence. And I just had one other thing. We did, Miss Anderson, this is probably for one of your committees. The school board did appoint 2 people to the Recreation Commission. So if you want their names, it's Ms. Charlene Meyer and then Ms. Michelle Miller.
Probably ask you again next week.
And so, yeah, I have their information when we need it. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Any questions for Ms. Nichols?
Recreation.
All right, next up is the city administrator's report. Good evening, Mr. Mosby.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm just going to keep my comments brief. I do want to first congratulate both Officer Lee and Lieutenant Cheney tonight. Certainly welcome Officer Lee to the North College Hill family, and echo the sentiments of the mayor. I'm grateful for the team that we have that did go out. We have a total of 3 people who work on our public works force, and they did the 80 streets that we have here. So I appreciate the work that they did, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Mosby. Any questions for the city administrator?
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb?
I'm sorry. I was curious, Mr. Mosby, do you have an update on the J&J opioid settlement submission?
I do not know.
Mr. President.
Ms. Gould?
Mr. Mosby, I'd like to ask you a few questions about the possible, why do I never think of the word? I sent you an email about it, the impound lot. And I know that on one of the most recent meetings, we talked about breaking ground. But also, after reading emails from the group that's doing the comprehensive plan, I wonder if we could just drag our heels on that a little bit and not be too impetuous. because they're looking at land. That's a good spot of land. Maybe they could find another spot for us to put the impound lot. I mean, we did pay them a lot of money to give us ideas, so, we're not going, it's not going anywhere. We're not changing anything. So if we could just kind of cool our jets on that for a little bit and see what the comprehensive plan comes up with.
Well, Mr. Wald, I think you also saw in that chain of emails, I tried to be clear on that if it is council's wish, council can certainly motion to ask for me to stop doing work on that. The only thing that I would say to that in response would be, at what point do we say stop and then not go forward with anything else? If we're going to say stop to that, do we say stop to building out the council chambers here? Do we then stop and say we're not going to go any further with a marquee outside because plans could change? I mean, I don't know, but if council wishes and does so by motion, then I'll stop.
So, Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald?
the rehabbing of the council chambers isn't going to affect the size back there or what's being done back there. It's all going to be internal. When we had our meeting, we did not talk about blowing out any of the walls back there and extending this building by any means. We had talked about knocking out this wall and possibly expanding council chambers. So that's not even a part of the argument or the discussion.
Well, Mr. Wall, if I may, it would be because the whole purpose of the discussion that we're having is what is the best and highest use of the property, which includes the building. So that's why I brought that up.
I don't see how the internal building can have anything to do with an impound lot.
Because because the plan is the best and highest use of all the property, including the building. That's why I mentioned that.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
I'd like to make a motion that perhaps maybe council could ask administration to wait till we get an idea from the comprehensive plan group as to what some of the possibilities are for the land back there.
So can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
I just wanted to make a motion to ask administration to wait until we get an idea from the comprehensive plan group before we move forward on the impound lot.
Mr. President,
Ms. Anderson?
just to ask Mr. Mosby, do you plan on starting work on the impound lot before the comprehensive plan people come back already, or were you kind of planning on seeing what they were going to say? What were your plans?
No, our plans were to move forward as council had directed us per the 2022 budget, which was
Okay.
to go ahead and build that out. We've already ordered the gravel. We have not, as Ms. DeWald was implying, we haven't dug out any land. We took
Right.
up some of the equipment, the playground equipment, but that was about it.
So then would you as administration like to hear the other ideas, or what would you recommend? Because I feel like you're more involved than I personally am, so I don't want to vote on something that I don't know as much knowledge about that you do.
So to be honest, I certainly appreciate the concern. But I think there are two things that have to be weighed. Number one, if we desire to generate revenue, which is what the whole purpose of the impound lot was for, then we do need to move forward with it. I do believe that there will probably be some recommendations that will be made regarding this property. And I do understand the concerns that some people may have, although Planning Commission several years ago, before you got on council, had already made a requirement regarding, EPA standards for the impound lot. So we would have to meet those anyway.
Right.
So again, to me, it is, are we willing to just say, okay, we will not, we'll just forego any potential revenue, and then to wait. And keep in mind that when we say wait, the comprehensive plan process is going to take anywhere from 12 to 18 months.
Right.
And it doesn't mean, and the second part of that is just because they put the plan together, it doesn't mean that each one of those steps is going to be implemented immediately. So that's the only thing I can tell you right now.
Okay. Thank you.
So,
Mr. President, I'm sorry.
I'll go with Ms. Nichols first.
I've already had my turn, so, yeah.
Mr. Ewald. I just wanted to make a comment, but based off of what I have been told, the information I got, roughly 200 cars per year. Some years there was more. I understand it is $125 per day per vehicle that's towed. So that's $25,000. If it's 2 days, that's $50,000. If you say each car would be there for 2 days. So I just wanted to say there's $125. Am I correct, Chief?
It's $150.
$150.
$50 for the tow. And then it's usually anywhere from $15 to $25 a day storage. And the storage is what we would get the money off of.
Okay.
Currently, when we tow vehicles, a company like any of the tow companies that are on rotation, they tow it back to their lot, and then they charge the storage. The person who has their vehicle towed has to come to us to get the release form, then they go over there and they pay them. If after 30 days they haven't retrieved the car, the tow company comes to the police department and we shell out the money for the certified mail to send it to the last known address of the owner of that vehicle. And if we don't get a response, then we stamp the paperwork and hand it over to the tow company, who then takes it to the DMV, and now they own that vehicle. And then they can sell that vehicle as they wish, whether it be an auction, whether it be on a car lot somewhere, or whether that be to you pull and pay to part out or whatever. So again, that's where the numbers fluctuate, but all of my research, we would stand to make roughly anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000, depending upon how that goes.
Per year?
Per year. And that's why I've been pushing for the tow lot. The only reason I've been pushing for the tow lot is because I was hard pressed to find anything else that the police department could do to make money for the city and to kind of help.
So, Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald?
my initial request was just to hold off for a little bit. I didn't ask to hold off for a year to 18 months. The comprehensive plan they've already done the tour of the city. That land was mentioned. So we could make that a priority for them to look at and then not delay the lot that much. Because the last meeting, Mr. Mosby mentioned that they were going to break ground. And so hearing that, that's what I heard first, and I was happy with that. But then when the comprehensive plan came in and mentioned stuff, I thought, we're paying them a lot of money. So it'd be silly, I think, to jump into this. We've gone all this time without an impound lot. Yeah, it's exciting to get one, but we need to get our money's worth from the comprehensive plan as well. So I'm just making a motion if we could just kind of cool our jets. I think Mr. Oh my gosh, I forgot your last name. Graver.
President, Mr. President.
I wasn't going to call you Graver. I knew you were Mike. But just to give it a break, to slow down, so to speak. I'm not asking to take it off the table.
Okay, so you have a motion on the floor. Is
Mr. President.
I'll second the motion.
that what you were gonna do?
No.
Okay. All right, so
Mr. President,
I have a motion for Ms. DeWald, second for Ms. Zorb, to pause and let the comprehensive plan people come do whatever. Sorry, I kind of ad-libbed there. Yes, discussion. Ms.
so-
Underwood.
I just have a question. Can we give them some direction with regard to how long to wait?
I think that would be a reasonable request. I mean, We don't want them sitting on it thinking about it forever.
Okay.
And because they did do the tour and they did mention that property and they saw what we have to offer and, maybe we can shoot an email to them and say, let's concentrate first on this issue.
Okay, I'm gonna rephrase that. Can I get some direction from you on how long?
From me? Oh, no. On how long we should wait?
Yes.
I think that depends on the answer from the comprehensive plan group.
Well, I need you to explain to me what I'm voting for, because, if you want them to wait 18 months, then,
No,
I
no,
might
I-
have a difference
No,
of opinion. if
he
it's
mentioned
6
18 months. I never mentioned 18 months.
Okay, so I just want to know how long.
So
Yeah.
my proposal is that we make this priority for them, and let's give them a month.
Ooh,
Mr. President,
we only meet once or twice a month.
Mr. Miller Novak.
I guess my issue is I feel like we've already spent 12 to 18 months on the issue, getting it where it is between multiple discussions and doing that. That the other problem is, I think a month or something like that isn't necessarily how a comprehensive plan company is going to work on things. I think they collect a bunch of feedback and things like that. I don't know that they can necessarily compartmentalize a comprehensive plan into like one parking lot. I don't think that's really the methodology I remember them reviewing with us. I think I remember a methodology that's really holistic, where they put out feelers from the community, what kind of vision people have for North College Hill and stuff like that. So I don't know that the comprehensive plan is going to be able to say, hey, we're going to come up with a plan for this one piece of property, because the whole idea of the word comprehensive means like totality, correct? So when they think about the vision of North College Hill, that's what they're going to do, and how we develop economically, how we develop housing, things like that. So for me, a month or 3 months or 4 months becomes arbitrary, because it's not necessarily the process that they're going to come at us with. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay, so you did add a month to the,
Okay.
Mr. Graver,
Zorg.
there was an email sent by Kathleen of Urban Fast Forward, and at the risk of sounding remedial, I could read that email and her response to this if anyone would like to entertain that idea.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood.
I would appreciate her reading the email, because I haven't seen it.
All right. So the question was posed, I'm going to kind of summarize the first two emails. First email, it was actually generated by me, not Ms. Dewald. I'm sorry, Ms. Dewald. And I asked, because we went on a driving tour, and during that driving tour, it was mentioned that Mr. Mosby mentioned that he was breaking ground on the impound lot, and then, so I raised the question of, where's the timing? How does that look? And then, so I sent an email to ask that. Mr. Mosby replied that it was the desire of council to do the impound lot, and so that was his way going forward. Then Kathleen's response was, first, what Ron said in his email yesterday is essential. A city administrator works at the discretion of their council. So once a direction has been given, they can only change the course with a different council-approved mandate. But the underlying issue raised by Mary Jo is important. So answer in multiple parts. If your consulting team had been asked before the decision was made, we strongly would have recommended that the area behind the admin building is not an ideal placement for an impound lot. First, that's far from the highest and best use for that land. It is most certainly a possible future development site. At such time as that value is realized, the impound lot would have to be moved. Meanwhile, some more immediate questions. Would having an impound lot there negatively affect the perception of NCH's administration building and thus the city leadership? If, for example, the lot is visible to City Hall visitors, or if the path to the lot is via the same road and access as the front door of City Hall, that creates a negative perception. Does having an impound lot on this site create any future problems for development on the site? Would, for example, there be a new surface contamination from automotive oil and gas leaching into the soil? That might create the need for costly remediation later, especially if future development is for residential use. Such risks might be slight, but should be at least considered. Is the city making a substantial investment in creating the lot on the site? For example, will it be paved or fenced? In which case, at what cost? If the impound lot is not the final use for this land, and that cost justifiable, for what would be shorter, for 2 or 4 years use? Generally, for major expenditures, a city wants extended benefit. Lastly, is the zoning example the city wishes to set. This land is on one of NCH's major arteries, a prominent position. This is an unattractive use at least at the best of times. As we talk about a positive way forward, does this initiative set that tone? On the other hand, is it even possible to move the lot elsewhere? It has been identified as a revenue source, and it would also seem to be a problem solver. To both capture the revenue and solve the problem, where else can it go? Is there a site with a more industrial character and less visible location? If such a site exists, is it not owned by the city? Can it be rented at a reasonable rate? The idea of using land is appealing, but not always optimum. Paying rent would reduce revenues, but might still be a better option. Alternatively, is there a better site that could be acquired? Ownership is generally better, and if the location were in a more industrial zone, the lot could be placed there permanently rather than having to be moved later. Owned or leased, however, there would almost certainly be some additional cost for a better solution. But, also noted, potentially significant long-term benefits. Impound lots fall into the category of necessary evil for most communities, but there's a reason they are tucked away. It is truly hard to make this an attractive use. So completely without detailed information about the work I'm sure your professionals have already done, if it is possible to locate it elsewhere, that would be preferable. But given the degree to which planning has advanced, I'm also aware that it might be very difficult to change the direction now. Such are the challenges we always face in community leaders. Hope this helps.
Mr. President,
Mr. Hedger.
Yes, I will forward that to you.
thank you.
You didn't type all that down?
All right, motion's on the floor for Ms. DeWald. Are you saying a month?
Mr. President, I had a question, but I never got to it. If we're still in discussion.
As soon as I find out, you said a month, is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And that's just a guess. I mean, that's,
All right, Ms.
So-
Dukestein?
So then I guess my follow-up question is, are you revising the motion to include a month? Or are you just,
well, I think that's what we just discussed, that we're going to add a month to that and see how quick I can get them to move on that target.
All right, call the roll, please.
Dukestein,
so, before I vote, we didn't revise the motion, though.
I think he did.
We did. It's a
1 month
month.
is added to
Okay,
the motion, yes.
all right. Yes.
DeWald,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Miller Novak,
Yeah, sure.
Zorb,
Yes.
Blythe,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Thank you, council.
All right, so, Mr. Mosby, your report was finished, correct? Yes, sir. That brings us to the law director's report. Mr. Dieters?
President, the only thing I have to report, I do know that last Friday, House Bill 51, which is going to allow for remote public meetings again, did pass the Senate, and it was going back to the House for some concurrence work. So my guess is if it didn't happen today, sometime in the next couple of days, the Ohio legislature is going to reauthorize up until June 30th to do remote meetings again, if public entities want to do that. That's the only update I have, unless there's any questions.
And you said that's through June, if it passes, it'll be through
Passed,
June
it'll be
30th.
June 30th. The House passed a version, the Senate, of course, passed a version which was a little bit different, so now it's got to be reconciled. But I believe if it didn't happen today, and I haven't had a chance to check yet, I'm trying to look, I can't find anything yet, but it's likely that it'll pass sometime before Wednesday.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Dieters? Okay, thank you. Next report is from the Finance Director. I do not see her with us, so we'll move to call of members. Ms. Dukestein?
I'd just like to congratulate Lieutenant Cheney and Officer Lee. Is happy to have them both to North College Hill. And I'd like to say hooray, congratulations to the Bengals. And I felt like when I got out on the main streets, the Public Works did a really good job at trying to get everything taken care of. I know that they had a 2-hour delay at my kids' school just to kind of button up some of their snow removal. So it's been a hard thing. I got out there and actually shoveled, so it's very hard to move that ice snow that we have. And I'd also like to say congratulations to NCH schools because they're doing awesome in the playoffs, every level. That's it.
Thank you. Ms. DeWald?
Just a quick comment too. Kudos to the Public Works. A lot of residents don't understand that that truck is only going to scrape up snow. It's not going to pick up 2 inches of hard ice. And just kind of a funny tale to tell. When I was at church Sunday, I received a phone call on my landline and got home to get the message. And it was a friend of mine saying, my street hasn't been touched. I haven't seen the trucks and blah, blah, blah. So before I could call her back to tell her there wasn't a thing I could do about it, she was calling me back saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. All I did was talk with you and the trucks came down the street. So I just thought, no, I still didn't have anything to do with it, but, you know, go on with yourself. But anyway, kudos to the Public Works. They did what they could. Like you said, there's a group of 3 men doing a work of how many streets? 80 some odd streets. Congratulations to those guys. That's all.
Thank you. Ms. Underwood?
Thank you, Mr. President. At the risk of sounding redundant, I would like to say first of all, congratulations to Lieutenant Cheney and Officer Lee. Welcome to North College Hill, and congratulations to Lieutenant Cheney. Happy to have you here. Also, thank you very much to our Public Works for their hard work. I actually saw, obviously, what was clearly only 3 of them in 3 separate trucks, like in a row, trying to plow. And, you know, they were each, it was kind of how they were plowing, trying to get the leftovers. So it was kind of, I'm not describing it very well, but I saw them out. So I did see them out trying to, but it was just too many layers of ice. It really was. It's just a Cincinnati weather thing. So congratulations to the Bengals, you know, who have broken my heart for years and years, but it's okay. Also, I would like to take a portion of my time, which, you know, I've read the rules and apparently I can do that, to Deputy Chief, Plackey is here at my request. So if anyone has questions, I don't want him to have to wait for our executive session. So if anyone has questions for Deputy Chief Plackey, who came here because I asked him to answer questions about the very specific information he gave us about the fire truck. That's $628,336. And you can see kind of there's attached the specific information that's attached there for the quote. Just with regard to what this information is. And might I also add that I think that he was just very sorely leaving things off that they needed, but that's just my personal opinion. But if anybody has any questions for him, please ask now, so he doesn't have to wait for us to do our executive session.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zork?
so maybe I just do I have the quote? It's not
Yeah,
in
it
my
should be in
packet.
Resolution 7, or is it an exhibit? Section 1.
So that's I thought she was referring to an itemized quote. I don't see that. Should that be here?
Is this the whole thing?
Yes,
That is it.
there is one,
22 pages.
yes.
Holy macaroli.
And we didn't get one.
Yeah, I'm not ready to
Everybody
ask
got one.
questions.
It was attached to the email.
Well, from that computer of mine, that doesn't work.
Would it perhaps be better to ask Mr. Plackey to be at our next meeting?
Mr. President,
Mr. Miller-Novak?
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be prepared to ask any questions. I don't know, but I don't want to say that because I don't know that I'll have any questions necessarily. So, but I haven't gotten to review the packet yet. So, yeah, sorry. But if everybody wants to proceed now, that's fine. I know it's on for the first reading. I think if I have questions, I can either call or ask
That's what I'm saying.
Chief Fells or whatever. I don't need to do it in a public setting necessarily either. So I'd say proceed with anybody has any questions. I don't necessarily want them to come back next week though. I can use a phone.
Anybody have any questions at this moment?
Mr. President, I just want,
Nichols?
how much longer do we have? How much more time? Okay. So we got 15 days. Okay.
Mr. President,
Ms. Anderson?
so are you saying that, Ms. Nichols, or sorry, Mayor Nichols, are you saying that you want that this needs to be, like, do we need to skip readings, are you saying? Are you saying we need to, like, get a jump on this?
I think we will have to skip a reading. So if our next meeting is in, 14 days, they have 15 before the quote changes. So the quote that you have in that packet is, am I correct? It'll go up? Yes. So we have 15 days.
So we need to pass this by the next meeting.
Is that enough time?
That's
To vote on it.
14.
Not necessarily pass it, vote on it by the next meeting.
How much time do you need to get everything in?
I'm ready to go.
So if they don't pass it until the next meeting, which will be
14
14 days. So, sounds like we don't even have that 14 days.
So we pass it today, or we don't have this price? Okay.
Mr. President,
Mr. Miller-Novak?
Safety Committee Chair. What was the consensus of the Safety Committee,
So,
since I'm not on it?
okay, Mr. President, may I?
Ms. Underwood?
Okay, so when Chief, I don't even know what to call you, I'm sorry. When he came to our meeting, he discussed a fire truck or a fire engine, whatever you call it. But the engine that he discussed was approximately $598,000. And so but when I asked him questions about, what was included and what was left off, that kind of thing, one of the things he mentioned that was left off was this pump module, is that what it was? No? Okay. Can you explain, can you come to the podium and explain what that does, please? I'm hijacking the meeting, I'm sorry.
So originally, like Ms. Underwood was saying, we were given a budget to kind of stay within. So with the times that we're in now and inflation, prices kept going up and up, and we've been working on this for over a year. So when we got to this point, the levy passed, which there was capital money built into the levy for this improvement. We kind of missed our window to get the lower price. So with that, we had to remove some items. Ms. Underwood was informed of the items we removed, one of them being a front intake. So we have a lot of dead-end streets in North College Hill, which typically have a hydrant at the end of them. So we're able to, if we need to go all the way to the end of the street, we can nose into a hydrant and connect into the front of the truck to be able to supply water to the fire. So that was an option that we had to cut off due to cost, but Ms. Underwood instructed us to add it back on there. It's something vital for our operations. So that's why that was part of the price increase and also the inflation as well.
I would also like to add, since Mr. Miller Novak asked me, what I would also say is that after some arm twisting for over a half hour, I finally got a printout of the other things that they left off of their truck, and it included hoses, front bumper, cross lays, rear pre-connect, front bumper bundles, nozzles, ladders, halogens, hooks, water cans, fold-up cones, battery-powered box lights, extra keys, battery-powered fans, mobile radios, forcible entry kits, and other tools and equipment. These are things that they left off of the fire engine trying to save the city money. And I have to say, disturbed me greatly. And they described how they want to put buckets, open buckets, on the top of their brand-new $600,000 fire truck instead of purchasing, I'm sorry, just...
Well, Ms. Underwood, just clarification, they're not open buckets. They're just closed foam pails that are secured on the top of the truck, because yes, it's an additional cost to put a foam system on a truck. I have personally worked on a few trucks, or off a few trucks, that those systems don't exactly operate normally. So we chose to go with a more traditional mechanical option that works every single time. So that's the reason we went with that option.
So my point is that they cut off $57,335 worth of equipment that they need for their fire engine. There were no like espresso machines or any other thing that some people like shiny chrome or anything like that. They didn't add anything like that to the engine. To me, it was all needed, but, you know, they cut it off in an effort to save the city money. So that is why I asked them to put this thing that he just described for us back on there. And I would just ask, you know, for everyone to please just consider this. They've really done, everything that they could to save the city as much money as they can. And they plan to continue to try to find grants to pay for things. So I would ask everyone to take all of that into consideration, as I know I'm like totally taking up a lot of time during my comments here, when considering this fire engine.
Deputy Chief?
Yes, sir.
So we're halfway through the quote period. Do we have any idea or indication what the difference would be if we missed the quote window?
On average, they've been about $16,000 to $20,000 increases every single time. And there's really no prediction on when they do those. Different vendors have projections, but it's not an exact thing.
Okay, Mr. President.
Ms. Dewall, did you have something?
Yes, super quick. I've had the opportunity of sitting next to Miss Underwood, so I have this piece of paper. And it says ladders, $1,768, and it says all included, which would be a 24-foot extension, a 14-foot roof, and an attic, 290. Could you explain, or do you need to look at this to see what the heck I'm talking about?
Yes, those ladders that you listed there are actually included in the truck quote.
Okay, okay. All right. And a roof and an attic, I don't know what that means.
So a roof ladder is typically 14 to 16 feet long.
I've got it now.
So,
Right,
all right.
okay. Thank you. Roof ladder and an attic ladder, yeah.
Okay. Well, just a couple quick questions. I don't even know what a discharge or pre-connect is, so. Is there a sunroof? I mean, like, I'm trying to get it like in the area of something I might understand. Alpine tape deck, maybe. So, I guess like to make a simple thing, like I understand we're 30 days into a 60-day deadline. Is that right? I'm just trying to do the math. It seems like we have one more meeting. Am I missing something or not understanding something right? Don't we have one more
Date of the
meeting?
quote was,
I don't have that.
She has it right there. What's the date on the quote?
January 14th.
Of December?
I just want to be clear on that.
On that front page.
January 14th.
January 14th.
So it's 60 days.
correct,
So wouldn't that be like
March.
March?
So yes.
So when we have 2 more meetings before that?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Right?
Yes.
My math was a little bit off. I
60-day
apologize.
What's that?
No, you're
I've gotten so many different quotes and they're running together. So,
Okay, yeah, so this one I'm holding says 1/14/2022. So you're saying it's a 60-day quote?
Yes, from the manufacturer as well as the financing.
Okay, well then we have 2 more meetings then, right?
We do.
All right. Well, cool.
Mr. President,
Thank you for clearing that up.
No
Ms.
problem.
Anderson.
if for some reason you guys are looking into it and it's like for some reason wrong or the numbers were screwed up or whatever, just let us know, because I'd like to know sooner rather than later if we need to call a special meeting or something. So
Say that again.
if the numbers are wrong or if the dates are wrong for the quote, if we need to call a special meeting, I'd like to know sooner rather than later. So
Okay.
I mean, no, I'm not saying you're wrong, but just if you are, no pressure,
Reading it.
but just let us know. Please let us know.
Mr. President,
Mr. Miller Novak.
I mean, I guess another question here then. So I'm sorry, I know that we're probably retracing stuff, but it sounds like we had a previous quote that was for less money, and then this is a new quote, I guess, that is a product of the safety committee saying get another quote with the more stuff.
It's an adjusted quote. Yes.
Okay, so technically speaking, if we don't take this quote, then it would go back, then we would lose this price then, wouldn't we?
Yes, we would lose it either we're outside the window or we make adjustments to the quote.
Okay, well then, I guess in a way then. So, I mean, it's not, I guess I just want everybody to understand like what we're talking about. It's not as easy, like I'm like, it's just for example, not that I would do this, but I'm like, man, you don't really need to get 4 Michelin 11R rear tires with whatever that says, right? Like it wouldn't be easy as removing that and adjusting the price. You'd have to go back and get,
Yes, there's a lot more involved. It goes back to engineering. They have to look at the truck and make sure that it holds up their safety standards before they'll construct it and sell it to you.
I just want everybody to understand that. I mean, because like the idea of doing like a line item amendment of this quote sounds impossible to me.
In a little bit simpler terms, it's kind of like building a house. I mean, if you look at the components that are on there, it's just like building a house.
Yeah, if you get rid of the bay window, you have to build the wall completely different.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, well, cool. That helps me a lot. So, all right, awesome. Well, sounds like you guys already did a lot of work.
Mr. President?
Ms. Zorb.
So, I know I was at the safety meeting and I saw your presentation, and I believe I read in that your original mandate was to be around 575,000?
Yes, ma'am.
So my question then is to Mr. Mosby, this purchase price is $628,540. Can the budget sustain that increase from the 575 that you requested they stay in?
Well, my answer to that would be, based on the discount that we would get, I believe it will go to 597.
After the prepaid discount, which they view it as being paid in full, I believe it's a 15% discount. So it drops the price to,
Even with,
what's the final price there, Ms. Underwood?
well, I think Mr. Dieters just said 614.
614, yes.
I think that puts us at around, on an annual payment basis, about 70,000, which is really at the limit where, based on the amount of money that we were getting annually for capital improvement, that would be probably the max. Not probably, that would definitely be the max.
Mr. President,
Ms. Anderson?
I could be totally reading this wrong, but under payment options, it says, the price bid assumes no payment until delivery and acceptance or blah, 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 blah. For full or partial payments, the following discounts are available. For 100% payment, 16,887. For 75% payment, it's 22,085 for the discount.
I believe that's a clerical error. I caught that myself. I'm waiting on a response from the
Okay, because I
vendor.
was like, so if we don't pay as much money, we get more money?
Yeah,
Okay.
it doesn't make
Gotcha,
sense.
okay. As long as I was like, man, do I know how to read today?
Any other questions?
No.
Mr. President.
Ms. Dukestein?
So if you were to add some of those things back, would it completely change the quote? Are there things that you could add back without changing the quote? Is a better question?
The quote that we presented is everything that we would need.
Okay. Thank you, Deputy Chief Blackie.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it.
I will also just gonna remind everybody that he keeps saying it's everything that they need, but I have a couple of pages here that I'll pass around, of things that he says they don't need. I beg to differ, so, thank you. Just gonna remind everybody that they did cut a lot. They cut a lot, so,
Are any of those coming this way?
Hmm.
Are any of those papers coming this way?
yes, sorry. So, thank you, Mr. President, for your,
We're not keeping them, we'll just pass it.
patience.
Look at it.
Okay. So I believe next up would be Mr. Miller Novak, as we are still in call of members.
Forgot what I was gonna say now. I guess I will be redundant too, even though it doesn't seem as redundant because we had a break. But I would like to congratulate our two officers who were honored tonight. Seems like that's happening a lot lately, which is cool. It's nice to have events. And I'd also like to thank our public works guys for the job they did on the roads. It was obviously tough because it was like 2 days nonstop, you know. And I hope they don't, you know, I know that I see negative things on the Facebook, but I think it's important for our public servants, and that includes you fire guys and you police guys and the public work guys and people who work in our offices, that the negativity is always louder than the positivity. And that's what you see, and I hear a lot of compliments in the community for the work that everybody does, and of course I appreciate the hard work all of our public employees do. I think the one thing that's commendable about them from the top to the bottom, we have too few people to do too many things, and I think it's easy to get frustrated, but at the same point in time, always remember that we are a very small city with very big city problems at times, and we're understaffed, and our staff work extremely hard to do the best they can with the tools and the human power they have available, so I thank you all.
Thank Thank you, Mr. Miller-Novak. Ms. Zorb?
After all of that, I don't think I have anything else to add that someone else hasn't already said.
Oh, it's redundant again.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Blythe?
At our last meeting, we were discussing the North College Hill salary ordinance and also the charter. I would like to express some of my thoughts from our last meeting. I cannot support the salary ordinance because it undermines and conflicts with the charter. Per the North College Hill Charter, Section 3.06, the council of the city by ordinance or resolution shall determine and fix the salaries of respected. Council has a fiduciary duty, oversight duty, and most importantly serves as the checks and balances for the administration. The North College Hill Charter does not authorize North College Hill administration to determine salaries. In section 14.06, of the charter, it states the proper procedure to update the charter via commission for the purpose of reviewing the charter to determine if amendments are necessary to conform to the changing needs of the municipality. I believe that legislation should not override the charter. Furthermore, the inserted clause, top paragraph, page 3 of the salary ordinance 1-2022 creates a conflict of interest for the city administrator. The city administrator should not be provided discretionary authority by North College Hill or the mayor to increase wages of individuals in Section 1 because the city administrator's position is listed in Section 1 of the salary ordinance, number 1-2022. A conflict of interest is a benefit derived from actions or decisions made in their official capacity. And also I want to state that I hope that we do not start a precedent to subvert the rules of the charter by cutting and pasting sections of the charter into the ordinance and resolutions, voting on them to achieve an agenda or goal outside of the charter. Council should reconsider our responsibility to adhere to the North College Hill Charter. When we vote to delete council duties and oversight to the North College Hill administration, we are undermining the charter and the North College Hill Council rules. And per section 6.7 of council rules, I will present this document and attachment to the clerk of council to be included in today's council meeting minutes. Thank you. I'll give you a copy.
Thank you, Ms.
That's
Blythe.
it.
Ms. Anderson?
All right. I wanted to make a comment as a member of the Public Safety Committee and as somebody who has had 2 house fires and as somebody who lives on a cul-de-sac. I would really appreciate if we had a really well-oiled fire engine. And I really appreciate that our fire department is very kind and very I don't want to say frugal because that has a bad connotation, but you guys are very mindful when thinking of the city and our budget. But I also want to be mindful of my family and my neighbors when it comes to the inevitable house fire that'll come to somebody in North College Hill living on a cul-de-sac that I hope never does happen, but you know, may one day, and I don't want anybody in the city to suffer because we were like, you know, snotty nose putting our foot down to some more funds. I also wanted to say congratulations to our lieutenant and our new officer. I did not get their names correctly, and I don't want to say them incorrectly, so I'll just say congratulations to those two. And also, I did tell my mom to tell Mr. Marty this, but I don't know if she quite did. But I wanted to say that I feel like North College Hill had the best plowed streets compared to Cincinnati and
They do.
Finneytown. I don't know.
Mhm.
I'm coming for you guys, Cincinnati and Finneytown. I feel like we really beat you guys out on this one, and I don't really care what anybody says on Facebook, because I drove through Cincinnati and I drove through Finneytown the last few days, and I drove all the way up to Hamilton where I work, and I really don't think anybody did as well as North College Hill did with clearing their streets. So thank you to Mr. Marty. If my mom didn't tell you, I'm telling you now in front of the whole world. So, and that is all, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. I will concur with one thing you said, as southbound Winton Road, south of Galbraith, was still only one lane yesterday evening still. I would agree with you. All right, that brings us to remarks from the audience. So if anyone wishes to address council, we do ask that you sign in with Mr. Hedger, but we do have Ms. Glenda Smith here with us tonight, so the lectern is yours, ma'am.
Thank you, President, Mr. President. It's an honor to be here this evening with the leadership of College Hill. Thank you for having me back. The information I heard tonight from the police department is a positive reflection on Chief Shroud and obviously the rest of the leadership here in College Hill. So I thank you for your leadership here in College Hill. Again, my name is Glenda A. Smith, and I'm running for Hamilton County Juvenile Court because Hamilton County Juvenile Court is 30 years behind the rest of the country and 12 years behind the rest of Ohio in juvenile justice reforms that are more humane, effective, and efficient while keeping the community safe. I've seen the impact of these reforms in Montgomery County, Franklin County, Cuyahoga, Summit, and other counties. And I would like to bring them here. I can't do it by myself, but I can do it with your support. I'm asking you to go to glendaforjudge.com and see how you can join the campaign. I have 20+ years of experience fighting for the rights of marginalized people in juvenile court, in domestic relations, in the Court of Appeals, in federal courts, and in the United States Supreme Court. I didn't get that privilege by myself. I had the support of my family, church family, teachers, professors, chancellors of the university that I went to, and others. I was raised by a single parent in public housing. I was a teen mother. I was told directly or indirectly that I would not get out of public housing. And back then you were ostracized when you were pregnant. It's not like it is today. And because of faith, work ethic, and charity, I have a bachelor's in criminal justice, a master's in public affairs, and a doctorate in jurisprudence. I have 4 children. My oldest child has a master's in social work. My son is a journeyman electrician and a member of IBEW Local 648. My 3rd child graduated from Wellesley College in 2020. My 4th child is in her 2nd year at Howard University. If you want a judge that knows children, families, and obstacles, then I'm your person.
Mm-hmm.
So again, go to glendaforjudge.com and participate in the campaign. Thank you so much for your time. Do you have any questions?
Mr. President.
Ms. Underwood?
I have been recently dismayed at what I have discovered happening in the dependency section of the Hamilton County Juvenile Court. You know, just what appears to be the willy-nilly taking of children from poor people to adopt them out to wealthy people. And I am not exaggerating. So are you aware of that, and what are your plans to address that issue?
I'm very much aware of it. First of all, I started out as a guardian ad litem with the Hamilton County Public Defender's Office, meaning I represented abused children in juvenile court. I left there after 2 years so that I could go out and have my own practice so I could represent people the way I wanted to represent them. And that is what I've done. I currently have sued Hamilton County Juvenile Court, Children's Services, FAIR, and other government agencies for violating the rights of families, because they are doing exactly that, Erica. You are not exaggerating. However, what I was doing, while it may have been slightly effective, it is not efficient. We need a change of leadership. We're not going to have the impact that we need in Hamilton County by suing the county all the time. It's just not efficient. So yes, I do understand that. And what we need to do is obey the United States Supreme Court, which I've quoted over and over again, who says one of our highest rights is a right to family. We should not have these arbitrary, subjective rules about neglect, dependency, those types of things. I mean, what goes on in your family is going to be different than what goes on in somebody else's family. And so who am I to say what should go on in your family? One thing that we do know for sure, if a child is being physically harmed, that you can see. If you have an independent doctor saying that, which I trust Children's, I don't trust FAIR, because FAIR is ran by Children's Services. But yeah, if you have children saying this child is being beaten by somebody, then yes, we must investigate. But if you have anything lower than that, then we must do everything we can to keep that child in the home, because the psychological damage done to that child, once removed, is what fuels juvenile violence. The psychological damage of putting a child in detention just one time fuels juvenile violence. We've got to reform the system. The reforms are out there. I know what they are. Surely somebody else knows in Hamilton County, you know. So, I mean, we just have to do it. We need to do a major turnaround. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. And I have some information. My website's on the back as well.
Pass it around?
Yes, please, if you would. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Mr. Hedger, is anyone else signed in?
No, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. So the next item on the agenda is an executive session.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
Mr. Dieters, I'm going to need some help with the proper language of exactly what I should say. I know you told me what to say, but I didn't write it down. So if you could help me, I just want to make sure I say the exact correct thing.
Ms. Smith,
Mr. President,
a couple extras. These things aren't free.
Ms. Blythe?
can we take a break before the executive session, please?
Okay.
Here.
You want all that?
There are more extras. I'll take a work or something. She seems like a
Okay, yes.
Mr. President,
Mr. Miller Novak?
not knowing what we're actually discussing, the only thing that I would mention is you have to limit the motion to the permissible topics within that. So if it's about pay for an employee, it has to be employment and compensation. You can't list the entire laundry list.
I think based on, Mr. President, based on what I spoke to with Ms. Underwood, I would believe that discipline, compensation, and/or investigation are all three of the things that pertain to what she's speaking about.
Cool.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I move that we go into executive session to discuss the discipline, employment, compensation of a public employee. Discipline, did I say that right?
Discipline, compensation, and/or investigation.
Discipline, compensation, and/or investigation of a public employee pursuant to section, whatever,
1.22.
what Mr. Dieters just said.
Mr. President,
Ms. Orb?
may I have a moment to speak to Ms. Underwood privately? It'll take 2 seconds for me to talk to her privately.
I'm fine with it.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Miller Novak?
we have to adjourn the meeting and take a recess to do that.
Do we?
We can't, yeah, you cannot have a sidebar.
So, Mr. President, Ms. Blythe asked for a break before executive session. Could that be done then?
I'm fine with it. I just want to make sure we don't do a
Thank you.
sidebar. So let's do it. Mr. President,
Mr. Miller Novak?
I move we take a brief, like 5 minutes, you think is enough, Mary Jo?
Sure.
I move that we take a
Mr.
5-minute
President, can we make
recess.
that 10? I need to make a personal phone call.
Mr. President, I move that we make a 10-minute recess.
I second that.
All right, motion for Mr. Miller Novak for a 10-minute recess, second by Ms. DeWald. Please call the roll.
Dukestein,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
excuse me, DeWald,
Yes.
Miller Novak,
Yes.
Zorb,
Yes.
Blythe,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
You don't matter.
We're in
I
recess.
know that. That's obvious.
Okay, we need a motion to reconvene the meeting.
Mr. President, I move that we reconvene the meeting.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald.
I'll second that.
Motion by Ms. Underwood, second by Ms. DeWald to reconvene the meeting. Please call the roll.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
Dukestein,
Yes.
Stand
DeWald,
President.
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Miller Novak,
Yeah.
Zorb,
Yes.
Blythe,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passed, 7-0.
All right, thank you. So we had a motion on the floor to go into executive session from Ms. Underwood.
I'll second that, Mr. President.
Motion by Ms. Underwood to go into executive session under ORC 121.22 to discuss discipline, compensation, or investigation of a public employee. Second by Ms. Zorb. Please call the roll.
Dukestein,
Yes.
DeWalt,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Miller Novak,
Yep.
Zorb,
Yes.
Blythe,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passed, 7-0.
Okay, we will go into executive session. Who is joining council?
The mayor.
Okay,
Mr. President,
Mr. Miller Novak.
is our council joining council? Our attorney?
Oh, I was like, is council
Legal
joining council? What are you-
Legal
Legal
counsel.
counsel joining.
No, just the mayor, please.
Okay.
We need to start calling him Council.
All right, so we're gonna stay in here, so please,
that crazy.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood,
I move that we reconvene the meeting.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald.
I'll second that.
Motion to reconvene by Ms. Underwood, second by Ms. DeWald. Please call the roll.
There's a lot of you. Dukestein,
Yes.
DeWalt,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Miller Novak.
Yep.
Excuse me.
Long night.
Zorb.
I looked at you, threw you off.
You threw me off.
Yeah.
Blythe.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
All right. Next on the agenda is legislation. Mr. Hedger.
I'm getting there. Hold on. First reading resolution number 5, 2022, a resolution authorizing the participation in the ODOT road salt contracts awarded in 2022 and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood.
I move that we suspend the second and third reading for resolution number 5-2022.
Mr. President,
Ms. Anderson.
I'll second that.
Mr. President?
Hold on, Ms. DeWald, please.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Anderson. Yeah, I got all my stuff back out.
Motion was from Ms. Underwood, second by Ms. Anderson, correct?
Yes.
All right, so motion on the floor is to suspend second and third readings on resolution number 5, 2022 by Ms. Underwood, second by Ms. Anderson. Discussion.
Mr. President?
DeWald?
Just kind of glancing through here, the resolution must be uploaded to the winter salt participation website by no later than Friday, April, there's no date, 2022. Do we, oh, wait a minute, let me read the first
It
page.
says April 22nd.
So it should be April 22nd. So that second page should read April 22nd. And also, that gives us a time to at least give it one more reading. Is there any reason why we should suspend this or put an emergency clause to it?
So hearing no answers, then motion's on the floor. We'll take the roll. Mr. Hedger.
Dukestein,
Yes.
DeWalt,
No.
Underwood,
Yes.
Miller Novak,
Yes.
Zorb,
No.
Blythe,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Motion failed.
Uh,
5-2.
It was, the motion was to suspend, right?
Yeah, you need
Yes.
And
six.
you need
5 people
6.
said yes.
You need
It has to be
six.
6.
6.
Oh, okay.
that's it.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Hedger, please proceed.
First reading, resolution number 6, 2022, a resolution authorizing the city of North College Hill to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission state capital improvements and/or local transportation improvement programs and to execute contracts as required.
Mr. President,
Ms. Anderson.
is, just ask administration, is there any, like, time restraint on this at all?
No.
Okay. That's all, thank you.
Next, Mr. Hedger.
First reading, resolution number 7, 2022, a resolution approving the purchase of vehicle for use by the City of North College Hill Fire Department.
One thing I would say about that is I do suggest that you take a look at the proposal. And next.
Second reading, ordinance number 1, 2022, an ordinance to amend and establish salaries and staffing levels for the city employees pursuant to the requirements of the section 3.06 of the City of North College Hill Charter.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is further remarks from the audience, and as there is no one here, we'll move to old business. Hearing none, we'll move to new business.
Mr. President,
Ms. Gould?
under new business, I wonder if it wouldn't be beneficial if we had a microphone for Mr. Dieters. Because he's going to be kind of a permanent part of council, and I don't want him to feel left out.
Mr. President.
Mr. President.
You can have mine.
I had Ms. Anderson first.
I could be wrong, but I have a feeling they might have put that in the council chamber improvements, I think.
Have
Honestly,
you seen the specs? Because I haven't seen specs for the council chamber improvements.
I just heard from
Mr. Gray.
the grapevine that we were
Mr.
getting
President.
stuff, but I don't know.
Mr. President.
Zorb?
So, I'm sorry, I don't know the gentleman's name that's working our cameras tonight. Is that, is this your equipment? These, oh, it's not?
Not my personal equipment.
Is this ICRC's equipment?
I believe so.
So do you know, I am the
I know where you're
liaison,
going.
thank you. Yep,
You
I'm
will
on
work
it.
with ICRC
Yep.
on the microphones.
I got it.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Ms.
Yep.
Dukestein?
So we had talked about the Food Truck Friday, and Mr. Mosby, I'm not sure how we did it last time. I know we're supposed to be resuming here soon. So have we started? And if there's no space in the administrative office to do this, I can help. But I don't know if, do we have like, are we starting to line trucks up so that we possibly could do the commercial and just kind of have a line of, who's going to be on what date?
We have been reaching out. As of yet, I don't know of any confirmation.
Okay. Do you need any support in terms of getting a list of food vendors, or are you guys good with that?
No, I mean, we've got there's a network of food vendors that are being reached out to.
Okay. And then my other question on the opiate submission one, and I know we said we had not heard from that. Do we have any idea when we will? Or is there any follow-up on our part?
Mr. President, we filed we uploaded our complaint, our class action participation, but it could be tomorrow, it could be a year from now.
Okay, just wanted to kind of put it in perspective. Thank you for that. And then the last thing I had was, in consideration to what Mr. Dieter shared with us about the remote meeting, do we have any plans? I don't know how that was, because when I came in, we were meeting remotely. I don't know how that looks forward.
Mr. President,
So that's
Mr.
it.
Miller Novak?
I just think maybe we address it, because it's not, if the House hasn't voted on it in the Assembly yet, and I don't know that it'll have like an immediate start date anyways, but maybe just address that next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Dukestein, you can contact Ms. Miller too. I know she's been looking at some trucks. She might have some additional information. I don't know what list she has, but you can contact her as well.
Okay, thank you.
She told me she hadn't heard anything. That's fine.
Any other new business?
Mr. President,
Anderson?
I move to adjourn.
Mr. President, I'll second that.
Motion by Ms. Anderson, second by Ms. Zorb to adjourn. Please call the roll.
Dukestein,
Yes.
DeWald,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Miller Novak,
Yep.
Zorb,
Yes.
Blythe,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes, sorry.
Motion passed 7-0.
Meeting is adjourned.